Rolling Blackouts C.F. are an Australian band. I recently discovered they dropped this album mid-June. I've only just jumped onto it and I'm pretty impressed with what I hear. I feel like there isn't a lot to say about this, honestly. Generally, I think it's one of those albums that you hear it and you just get exactly what you want from it. It's really jangly indie pop rock that just hits the spot. It's not overly sweet and overly catchy, which is something I really like. I think if it was extremely like sugary, I think it would have completely put me off. But it falls in the more radio department type sound. If you've heard that band, they dropped a great album back in 2010, which I think was pretty overlooked generally, but yeah, it's a bit more like 90s indie rock influence, kind of like your just standard college rock type stuff, you know, a group of friends get together, just jam it out in the studio, and the results end up being really good. To me though, it's not quite the Remo Drive like eye-opener that Greatest Hits was. I mean, that album completely took me by surprise. Everything about that album I loved. I thought the nostalgia feel to it as well, the catchiness, the poppiness of everything was just nearly perfect, to be honest. But here, it's not quite on that level, but it still gets everything right generally. Most tracks follow the same vein, follow the same pattern. The guitar playing is pretty melodic throughout. The singing is really good. There's a lot of refrains that you bob your head along to. You really get sucked into the music just because of how simple it is. But simplicity, man, can sometimes just be the way forward. Sometimes all of that experimental type stuff can just get a little overbearing, but then you stick on an album like this and it's just so straightforward. It's like 35 minutes or something like that. It just stays at the right time, never overstays its welcome. It's just perfect, really. Cappuccino City is one of the most melodic tracks here. It's certainly a track that could be their single, to be honest. I feel like there is a lot here that a lot of people would like. Just the sort of subtle instrumental. I mean, I think most of this album is a little bit more sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Blah blah blah. I guess I want to say full. You know, it's a little bit bare, this track, but they sell it, man. They sell the bareness and give you an incredibly catchy track. I don't know how. But yeah, I feel like I've said as much as I can without really saying much at all. It's just kind of one of those self-explanatory albums, like you just kind of know what it is once you've got into it. There's not really anything to unravel. If you're a fan of indie pop, indie rock, that sort of 90s indie rock sound, you're probably gonna like it. Australia have some great stuff right now, you know. A lot of stuff that I enjoy typically comes from Australia. Like they're really good at bringing out these indie rock bands that come out of nowhere, and I hope this band continues to be as successful as some of the Australian bands that have come out in recent memory. Hope Downs by Rolling Blackouts Coastal Fever gets an 8 out of 10. Perhaps one of these shorter reviews I've done throughout this year, but you'll understand why when you listen to this, because there's just not a lot to say, but the music speaks for itself, and it's really melodic and enjoyable and just really nice on the ears, man. This breezes by without any hitches. It's a solid indie rock album that gets everything right, so I guess I just don't have much else to say. Hope you listen to this album, subscribe to the channel for more reviews, let me know if you've listened to this album and what your thoughts are. Have a good day. Bye.